Welcome back. Honestman here to preview Champions Meeting number 16, the Leo Cup. CM16 will be our second short track, but the track characteristics are actually very different than the first short track. For green skills, the clouds have parted and we're looking at sunny, firm, summer conditions. Turf S would be really nice to have here, but I think all of the S proficiencies are decent value, relatively speaking. So I don't think you need to obsess over much about your pink sparks compared to longer tracks. For blue sparks, power will be at a premium here, but a few stray wit or speed sparks would not be completely unwelcome if you can't hit the perfect parent. Trackside, we have a few noteworthy features that we haven't seen before, starting with the non-straight at the beginning of the track. We only have one straightaway and it's at the end of the race. In addition, we start on a downhill, and that's the track's only downhill. These features create a very different environment than the first short track. Back in CM9, we had straightaways matching the acceleration zones at both the start and the end of the track. So stocks in Rushing Gale and Turbo Sprint were at an all-time high. Here, however, straightaway acceleration isn't particularly useful. Instead, we want corner-based acceleration in the late race. So this will feel a bit like a mile track in that regard. No surprise then that we have Anglian Scheming and Pump as premium acceleration options, but Budding Blossom and Shooting for Victory will also be excellent options, which once again foreshadows a meta that could be heavily biased towards pace chasers. Which brings us to No Stopping Me. Now, this track is not ideal for NSG. It's not the worst. We're at least starting the late race during a corner and not the final straight, but optimal conditions would be a late race that starts prior to corner 4, or at least very early in corner 4. That said, even though the track isn't a great fit, I think most lobbies will have so much body traffic in the pace position that backline runners could find No Stopping Me to be quite consistent. At least that's my reading of the tea leaves. We'll see if it holds up or not. But I'm currently of the view that backliners should be thinking about Nimble Nav as a core part of their build. In addition, backliners could consider Trace and Cheer, and end closers could consider Straightaway Spurt. To be clear, I'm very skeptical of these. I really think the 100-meter delay is too late. The simulator, however, insists that there's value here, so I'm including them just on the basis of what I'm seeing in the sims, but definitely double check these with your build. At most, I'd be thinking about these as supplemental acceleration, and if you have enough primary acceleration, the value on these quickly diminishes. Jumping up to the top, I think the picture is much clearer for frontrunners, where I think Final Push is very good here. As long as it doesn't activate right at the beginning of the corner, you should get good value. And finally, Straight Descent. Here, we're not talking late race, we're talking early race, right out of the gate. This basically functions as groundwork for pace chasers on this track. In a highly competitive field of pace chasers, that could be the difference between winning and losing, but think about the big picture here as well. If we see lobbies heavily biased towards pace chasers, and our core acceleration skills are for positions 3 and 4, then you don't actually want to be first or second. If there aren't any frontrunners in your lobby, being at the front of the pace pack risks overshooting your position. But maybe you do plan to overshoot your position. Maybe you turn the dial all the way up and actually pack Angling and Scheming on your pace chaser. That's not a recommendation per se, just something to think about. Consider how your team functions as a whole, who wants to be at which position, and consider how you want to play that chess match against your opponents. I think we could definitely see some pace chasers with a full straight descent, groundwork, angling, and scheming build. And I think we could also see pace chasers that are really focused on positions 3-4, trying to combo Blossom and Shooting for Victory. For Umas, we're going to have a lot more options since our prior short track, including the arrival of Bamboo Memory and Camping Shuttle. Bamboo has an interesting scaling acceleration unique that activates on the final corner, so she could be a fun late surger. Camping Shuttle, I believe, marks the first time we're seeing a unique skill that increases current speed, not just target speed, but also current speed. I don't know exactly how strong that'll be here, but I expect it to be quite good, and I think she'll be one of many favorites at the pace position, along with Original Shuttle, Nishino Flower, and Bakushin, among others. And we'll also have some backline options. Late Surge or Air Groove actually got me the Platinum back in CM9. But more than anything, this stands to be the best dressed Champions meeting yet, so definitely grab your favorite ball gown on your way to the track. Last but not least, this will be the first race where Summer Goldship could make her presence felt, not as a racer, but because of her unique skill, which activates a random gold skill during the second half of the race, ignoring its activation conditions. A simple example of how this could be applied would be to have Grass Wonder activate Dominator. That's a tactic that we could definitely see, not just in this race, but in practically every CM going forward. But there could also be interesting applications for Ace Umas. You could get really creative here if you wanted. An example might be Taiki Shuttle. She has a great unique skill for this track, but her kit is primarily Mile skills. It might be pretty nice to activate Mile Maven in the second half of this track, either in the mid-race or in the home stretch. Don't take this as a recommendation because number one, Gold Ship would basically tank Taiki's compatibility score. Number two, this would end up being a very expensive gold skill to get this to work. And number three, for this to be reliable, you wouldn't really want to have any other gold skills in the second half of the race. So there are a lot of downsides to consider, which is why we'll typically only see Adventure 564 on debuffers. My point is just that this can open up some interesting options, especially for players who aren't necessarily chasing the meta. We've almost made it. This should be the final CM before Grand Live, so don't burn yourself out in the home stretch. Thank you all so much. Good luck on the track. Please like and subscribe. This has been Honestman, and I will see you next time.